106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
Good evening, Chicago. This is your Friday evening Chicago Corner host, Jerry Vasilatos, coming to you live from the North Side. I want to thank everybody joining us tonight. Looking at the live chat, we've got JR, Jim Cree, Lainie Petersen, Ware Pilgrim. I'm sure that we will have other of our favorite viewers logging in, joining, and participating in tonight's conversation. So I promoted this on social media tonight. Hey, let's just kick it off. I want to preface this with this kind of fell into my lap, this breaking story that I found very, very interesting. And after I share what I discovered, I'm going to bring in my co-host for tonight's show. But let me first present to the stream here the email that I received from Lori Lightfoot's campaign. Hi, Jerry. Apologies for the confusion. We had some technology issues with the initial email that went out, which I got prior to this email. Thank you for volunteering with the Lightfoot campaign. I have not volunteered. I'm getting emails because I'm on her email list from voting for her the first term and having donated the first term. So I'm sure that they're just recycling information. But as we conquer petition season, your help in gathering signatures is vital to ensure Mayor Lightfoot's place on the ballot. We're looking forward to seeing you at our Day of Action, Friendship Church with Team Lightfoot, Saturday, October 8th at 10:30 a.m. Our team will meet you at the 5200 West Jackson Boulevard, Chicago, Illinois, 60644. Please remember wear comfortable shoes and clothing based on weather conditions. Please reach out to Tony Ramirez this is a campaign phone number that I called, with any further questions or concerns. We look forward to meeting with you as we get petition season started. Now, by my estimation, this, as it's identified as a day of action, I would imagine there's going to be a rally element that's a part of this day of action. But I went to social media and I could not find any reference to this day of action tomorrow. So I called Mr. Ramirez at the Lightfoot campaign headquarters. I'm the source on this. I said, hey, I got an email from the campaign and it's talking about this day of action tomorrow. And I'd like to be able to share it on social media. But I can't find any links. Mr. Ramirez told me that this is not being promoted on social media to prevent quote unquote disruptions. And it's only being shared with her supporters. I think that this kind of speaks to the whole tone deaf echo chamber that Lori Lightfoot operates in. Because while we are certainly not encouraging people to go and disrupt a day of action, I do feel that there is serious validity in people being able to go and meet the candidate and express their concerns. That's not going to happen tomorrow. We at Chicago Corner, Kit and I, are going to attend that day of action at the Jackson address tomorrow morning. We're going to be going with our camera. And our intention is to interview supporters of Mayor Lightfoot and ask them, why are you here today? Why are you supporting the mayor? What policies has she enacted that you feel have been advantageous to the city of Chicago? And if there are any other attendees who show up that are critical or have major concerns with her candidacy or her platform, or where we think she's failed, or a lot of people think that she's failed, we want to hear from them also. So I'm going to bring into our broadcast now my esteemed colleague, Lainie Petersen, as well as Mr. Edward Heller, both joining us tonight. I know, Lainie, you can't stay for the whole show, but I just found this kind of hilarious.
It is hilarious.
When I spoke to the campaign representative, there was no hiding the fact that they want to hide this. And everybody's collecting petitions. Everybody's having their day of action rallies. And I didn't identify who I was because they sent me the email. I don't think I had to identify myself. I was just asking very honest questions. Where's this? Why isn't this being promoted so I can share the link? And the reason I wanted to share the link was because I wanted to encourage viewers of our show or other people on social media that we're going to be there. And if they want their voices heard on our show, pro or con regarding Mayor Lightfoot, they should show up tomorrow at 10:30 at Friendship Baptist Church and talk with Kit and I, so that we can run their comments on a segment that hopefully Kira will have to run on Tuesday. Your thoughts? Let's start with Lainie.
Wow, how convenient. That's one of the nice things about living in the internet age, is that you can actually target exactly who you want to show up at a public event.
Control it. It's a controlled event.
It's completely controlled. And, you know, back in the day, Jerry and Edward, back when we were youngsters, we thought that the internet was going to bring us all kinds of freedom and openness, and would open everything up to everybody. In fact, it made it just that much more easy to control responses to everything.
Because I imagine, Lainie, that I imagine that friendly press will be there to show all the supporters, and without any people there to perhaps protest or raise concerns regarding her platform or her candidacy, she's controlling the narrative again. We know that
Absolutely.
She's critical of any critics.
It's so easy now to do that.
Yeah.
It's just odd, because if she's trying to get, you know, more people involved in making sure she gets reelected, you would think she would want to publicize it way more than she's publicizing things like the karaoke contest.
Oh, the karaoke contest. You mean this karaoke contest?
Come on, oh baby, don't you wanna go? Come on, oh baby, don't you wanna go back to that same old place?
We'll talk about the karaoke contest much later in the broadcast, because the karaoke contest, I think, is actually something fun for citizens across Chicago to participate in. But as she's, you know, embracing her celebrity and as usual, doing this kind of stuff.
She's all right. That girl's all right with me. Yeah.
This is the extended version.
Hey, girl, I can lick it.
She's clearly forgetting about why we elected her mayor. We didn't elect her to clown around on social media and embrace her sense of celebrity, right? So, I mean, karaoke contest aside, anyway, I know we poke fun at her because we're irreverent.
Yeah, and Jerry, this is a thing that we've talked about before. It's like, if she was doing all these great things for the city and everyone was doing well, and we didn't have like these mini crime waves happening on and off, and all these other terrible things like potholes and people being, you know, with just poor and broke and miserable, then these would be kind of cute and adorable. But she, like, it's what's it called? It's not optics. It is optics, but
she's tone deaf.
She's tone deaf. Yes,
that's what it is. We got a $1 super chat from.
Thank you, Kathy.
So you know what that means. There you go, Kath. Thank you. I want to be able to limit we'll run the leprechaun drop-ins on your super chats, Kathy, but just be patient for them because I don't want to interrupt my colleagues here when they're in the middle of something, but we'll always show
your highly esteemed colleague.
That's right. My highly esteemed colleagues here. So yeah, Ed, I think you made a very, very good point there. Rahm Emanuel kind of did the embracing his celebrity thing, but not to the degree where I think that she uses it as a deflection to like elevate herself. Look over here, aren't I fun? I'm doing all these fun, trendy things while the city is falling apart. Yeah. So yeah, that was my last comment on that. So there doesn't seem to be a whole lot more to say. Kathy, thank you. She highly esteems us back. Art Medina shares, if she really had any power in the city, she wouldn't be encouraging a karaoke contest.
Now, hey, I actually had the idea that we should do a karaoke night for Chicago Corner, and this almost sounds like a dare.
It is, and you know how I responded? I said, I think this is a job for the News Brothers to show up and do some karaoke.
Yeah, or at least we need to start, get to one of the local bars that's doing this contest and see how far we can get so we can, and we definitely got to pick some appropriate songs, though.
Well, this is my opinion on that real quick, Ed. I think that we should participate in the city's karaoke contest, appear as the News Brothers, and I think that we should do Sweet Home Chicago and show everybody how it's done.
Or Stand By Your Man. I don't know. That's no slam at anybody's preferences of anything there. I just happen to be a fan of Tammy Wynette.
I've also been a fan of Everybody Needs Somebody to Love, which was Jake and Elwood's closing concert.
It was an awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the breaking news we shared. I also shared it on social media, and I'm encouraging all of our viewers. Actually, I'm begging all of our viewers tonight, go to our Twitter feed at Chicago Corner TV. The tweet is up there regarding this day of action tomorrow. The address is there. The time is there, along with our entreaty that people show up, whether you support her or you don't support her. Kit and I are making the trek down there in the morning. We'll be set up to shoot and abuse people.
I'm sorry. The thought of that is just killing me.
The thought of what?
You would get down there for that.
Going down there to shoot interviews with people? Well,
yes, I know. You would get. I mean, it's pretty spectacular.
Let me also share here. I'm not sure if it's going to be Kit or one of his clones.
Get your hand off my penis! No. What is the charge? Eating a meal? A succulent Chinese meal? Gentlemen, this is Democracy Manifest.
We'll be having some Democracy Manifest tomorrow, giving an open mic to anybody who's participating at that call to action to share with us their thoughts, and we will run it on our show. So yeah, everybody, please go to our Twitter, share that link tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. at Friendship Baptist Church, 5200 West Jackson Boulevard, Chicago, Illinois. Here's that email I got from Team Lightfoot. But yeah, all the information is on Twitter, the address as well as the time and everything else. So go to Twitter, share the link with your followers. We want to get a lot of people out there tomorrow. Look, Chicago Corner.
Which link? You mean this link, Jerry?
Thank you, Ed. Now, we're not encouraging disruptions, although they want to prevent them. We are encouraging the open exchange of ideas. And as Kira has said on many occasions on our Tuesday show, we look at Chicago Corner as being our opportunity to engage in civic action. And I'm asking everybody that wants to come out tomorrow and participate in sharing your views in the public square, in the real public square. Come on out and join Kit and I, as funny as Lainie finds that, as we're on the streets with our little iPhones and our selfie stick and our Bluetooth microphone, collecting your thoughts and opinions on the mayor's candidacy, what you think she's done right, what you think she's done wrong. And we will present it across social media. You know what? Maybe we can even subclip those individual interview snippets and share them piecemeal across social media next week, along with putting it into a show segment.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's what that breaking news is all about. So I'm glad that I kind of stumbled into that. And you know what, Ed? I think this kind of makes me a journalist in that I did a follow-up. I got information.
He's starting to embrace it, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get him there.
We'll get me there.
It's just that, yeah. I mean, we are one type of animal that is a different species from the other media. So, Jerry just wants to make that distinction.
Yeah.
Ned is a different kind of species too, but he's an executive producer, co-executive producer along with Oreo.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a fifth level stream cat.
So listen, Kathy Power said you know what, Kathy, interesting enough.
Hey, Ware Pilgrim, thank you. Yes.
Interesting that you mentioned the right to choose rally at Federal Plaza. We're not going to have time to go. We actually had 2 stories pitched to us. Actually, the women's rally story was pitched to us first. Due to limited resources, with the Lightfoot rally coming up, all of Chicago media is going to be covering the right to choose rally. Okay, there'll be lots of coverage on that. The fact that the Lightfoot campaign has been hiding what this call to action tomorrow for Mayor Lightfoot will be out there. Although I did share this information with WTTW. Who else did I share it with on Twitter? The guy over at WCP, Ben Jarofsky.
Oh, yeah?
I shared it with a lot of other indie, I think, fair and balanced news coverage outlets here in Chicago so that they could also share that this was happening tomorrow. Yeah. But, Kathy, we won't be able to get over there, but I hope
send in the clones, says Kathy. So
yes, send in the clones. Yeah,
send in the kitty clones, the kit clones.
Yeah, the problem with sending in the kit clones is we don't know where all of them are.
Yeah,
like you just saw earlier, Jerry. We spotted the one in the UK, but they're all over the place. So
they are.
Again, we're putting the message out. If you see Kit Cabello in a city that is not Chicago, if he's in your city, you see him. Maybe he's at a Chinese restaurant enjoying a succulent Chinese meal. Maybe he's just out running away from the local authorities. Please let us know. Send an email to jerry@chicagocorner.tv. Let him know if you spotted him. If you have any photos, any links to anyone else on the internet spotting Mr. Cabello, his clones, that is, please let us know. We need to make sure that they are returned safely to an undisclosed location.
And yes, fair and balanced. Constitutional Conservative came in fair and balanced. Our good friend, Farron Franzek, who's on Mondays with Kit Cabello. There it is.
I thought, you had shared on an earlier broadcast when we first broke this Kit Cabello clone story, Ed, that they're supposed to be clocking in and out. But apparently, once they all escaped the lab, we have no way of knowing where they are or when they're going to show up to cover multiple
events.
I
mean, some of you are familiar with Project Phoenix that Sanchez guy came up with. Well, we had a similar program running with Cabellos, and yes, they were supposed to be clocking in and out on their assigned duties, and somebody left the back door open.
That's what it was.
And I don't remember who it was.
Wasn't me.
I'll take the hit for it, but
I bet it was.
I don't remember.
Peg leg. We hold Peg leg responsible for everything else. That son of a bitch let the Cabello clones out. First the Great Chicago Fire.
Now that, yeah.
The escape of the clones.
Do you guys hear that?
I'm hearing that cow.
Oh, hey, it's not just me.
Oreo's hogging the tension over here.
Hey, you got a little companion here on Lainie's side. You want to say hello?
Hey, Ned. Now he just ran off. Disagreeable animals.
Well, listen. Let's transition into our next story, which is the main one that Lainie is joining us for. And Lainie, I want to congratulate you on your successful escape from the hostage situation that you found yourself in, averting disaster and escaping. Why don't you share with us your experience? Because as you shared with us off the air before this broadcast, which is what inspired me to invite you on to talk about this, you're not the only one that apparently.
No, not at all.
Who are they? The 221 East Chestnut South Park has taken hostage for a $50 ransom. Why don't you share
hold on, Jerry and Lainie, because this is one of those special events where we have breaking news twice in one show. Okay, that's enough of that.
Absolutely. This is one of the kookiest things that has happened to me in a long time, and that is actually saying something. So I was downtown at a gala event with a friend, and we went back to, a friend offered me a ride home, and so we walked back to where he had parked his car. He had reserved the spot through a service called Spot Hero, and that is a third-party parking service that will direct you to a place you can park. You prepay through their service, you set everything up, and you're good to go. Well, this particular spot that we'd found, very convenient to where we were downtown, and it was very cheap. It was significantly less than the other parking spots in the area. And this was the 2021 East Chestnut South Park, which is managed by a company called Laz Parking. Now, it's important to note that there were multiple, this spot is managed by Laz Parking, which seems to have locations around the country. But we had, my friend had purchased the parking, reserved the parking through Spot Hero, a third-party company. So we get down in there, and it's admittedly not the greatest place to be parking. For one thing, if you notice on that photo that they have there, they have one door for the garage, and then there's a cutout door in there, right there. And it's like a cat or a dog door for the humans who have to go in and out. Okay, whatever. We were able to get in. We got into a place. We found a very nice woman and her son who were perplexed because they couldn't get out. And Artura, I'm beginning to wonder about what you're saying here. So, and they were perplexed because they couldn't get out. So we go and we go in there. We try to scan the QR code from Spot Hero at the kiosk to get out of this thing. And it wouldn't let us out. It said we didn't recognize our QR code. So we're doing that several times, and the kiosk has a help button. So we hit and the people who were in there with us saying, yeah, we've been trying to use that help button, and we can't get out. It won't even respond. So we hit the help button multiple times. It says, sorry, nobody's answering. Sorry, nobody's answering. I'm walking around trying to find other ways of getting connected. They find at the top of the ramp, at the very top of this very steep ramp, we find a number for some kind of an 800 number. We're trying to call them. And eventually we were all calling Spot Hero. Spot Hero said, okay, we'll give you new QR codes to try and get out. They wouldn't let us get out. And so they said, okay, we're going to call the management company right now. In Maryland, we're all trapped in there. We cannot get out of this. We could walk out.
Hanky. What does that mean, Vince? Hanky.
Oh, strange.
Weird. Why don't you say strange or weird? Hanky, that has no meaning.
Why we say hanky?
I don't want you guys using words around me that got no meaning.
A spot. And so Spot Hero put us through to Laz Parking. And Laz Parking just was completely clueless. And they were saying, well, you have to call us through the kiosk. Where are you calling us from? We're calling from the cell phone. We'll call through the kiosk. We can't call through the kiosk. It's not responding. Nobody can get through. We'll back up away from the door and then try calling us and keep on trying. No, we can't get through. No, we cannot get through. and the kiosk is not working. There's no way to get through. They didn't seem to know how to even open up the door for us. And nope, we could not get out. They said, well, I guess we'll have to call an attendant or a manager to come on by there. They had no way of getting people in this space out. All right. So eventually some people who came in who had not reserved through Spot Hero. And we figured, well, give them a chance. And we've been down there for the better part of 30 minutes. God only knows how this poor woman and her child was down there. They were fantastic human beings. Somebody gets in there, and some of the people who came in did not speak English. It was a real situation. And finally, one woman said, okay, she went in there, she scanned her stuff, and the door opened. We formed a convoy. And C.W. McCall's song is going through my head at this point. And we formed a mighty convoy rocking through the night, got in through that door, and we got out of there. So I was pretty ticked because this is not an efficient way to run any kind of a situation. And honestly, it's dangerous. Think about it. First of all, human beings and most animals, we're not evolved. We're not evolved to deal with being trapped. We don't respond well to it. Secondly, what if there had been somebody down there who was hostile or whatever, could have had people trapped in there. The only way to have escaped was to get out of your car and then try to escape. It could have been very dangerous. Fortunately, we were all okay. I get home, so I look up on Google and Yelp, and you've shown us the Yelp review, but there's also stuff on Google about this. This is a known problem with this garage. All right. This problem has been going on. The kiosk does not send people to any kind of customer service. There's no communication there. There's no way of connecting with anybody, and people are trapped down there. Now, there is one way of getting out of there, and that is you pay a lost ticket fee of $50.
There's the $50. That's what I was waiting to hear. Is because as I mentioned earlier, I remember in the Slack you shared with us that, as a matter of fact, the comment was the kicker is if you want to get out, you'd have to go for the lost ticket option, which is $50. So it is like being held hostage for ransom.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I say. When I'm saying this, and I mean, I agree with you, and yet the city seems to be totally cool with this. And again, if you look at the Google reviews, if you look at the Yelp reviews, and the thing of it is that you'll actually see responses from the management at Laz Parking saying, oh, we want to work with you. We're very concerned. We're running a first-class operation. And we want to make sure.
Okay.
Any case, yes. But there you go. That's what's going on here. And you can get out for paying $50, and you'll see in some of the responses on the reviews online that people have actually done that and then been told, sorry, we're not going to refund your money.
It's the worst of both worlds.
Yeah.
Because we have LAZ Parking, which is the company that got that 75-year parking meter deal. And then you got Spot Hero on top of that, who apparently doesn't know how to interact with LAZ Parking to make their system work, or they don't care enough to try and make it work because
Spot Hero should be doing this. Spot Hero knows this is a problem. They also know about it. And I don't drive, but I have friends who have used Spot Hero. I've been with them. We've had no problem in the past. But Spot Hero should not be working. And Dana, that's what I'm saying. Like I said, Hotel California, I felt like I was trapped in the Hotel California. You can check it anytime you like, but you can never leave.
Yeah, never leave.
And this is downtown on Chestnut in one of the most exclusive areas. And when you consider that you've got tourists coming in, and maybe one reason why people would go for a shoot.
Who don't have a Chicago resilience to to get out of there like you did.
Well,
we were able to get out of there.
It's pretty obvious.
They're confused. They're scared. And there are going to be people who don't have the $50. And the other thing that I said to my friend is, we all had phones with plenty of juice. But what if you were down there without a phone? What if your phone wasn't working?
Stuck there till the next morning.
Yeah.
I think Arturo's hitting the nail on the head here.
Yeah. This is a scam.
Clearly something's going on. or an accidental business model. Maybe they decided that this was going to be one of the fees that they're going to have to reset, and then they all of a sudden noticed that they had a really good quarter when they had a bunch of people having this problem, and they're like, well, I guess it's not a problem.
Yeah, it works out perfectly for them. Look, I have no issue with people trying to make money off of parking. I really don't. But what I do have a problem with is not having a mechanism for getting a video camera in there and opening up the door. The people who were calling the phone didn't even realize we weren't calling them from their kiosk. And this is not a matter, in my opinion, necessarily of incompetence. This is customer service disempowerment.
These know it's
customer
a problem.
Service people could not help us because the management company is banking on desperate people paying that $50.
I think you hit the nail right on the head, Lainie. That's exactly what it's about. For them to know about it's like things just don't get done. Oh, I think I'm lagging again. Am I buffering?
Your audio's good. Your audio's good. Your video is catching up when it feels.
The audio's fine. Yeah,
I've got too many video windows open on this end. But to your point, Lainie, we report on this stuff. Consumers report on this stuff. It's not a priority for anybody to fix because they're banking on the fact that they're hoping people will just pay up the $50 to get out of there. Although the safety hazards that are involved with being trapped down there if people don't have a phone is just so laden with liability. But if they have lawsuits regarding something like that happening, I guess it'll just be paid out and the taxpayers will pay for it.
And the thing that's really distressing is that this company, which is clearly a very bad company, was certified just in August as an accredited parking organization through the International Parking and Mobility Institute, which is an industry organization that provides professional certification. I have attempted to let them know, this organization, that LAS Parking is clearly a very corrupt and inept organization.
That's why That's why they got the contract.
Yeah, well, they just got the certification in August.
Okay,
but they shouldn't have this contract. They shouldn't be operating, and the city should not permit this to happen. To essentially trap people in a space and not offer a way to expedite their release if their systems go wrong. And in this case, their own kiosk doesn't work. There should be a system to let them know when that kiosk goes down. This should not be happening ever in any place, least of all a city like Chicago.
Can't say more than that. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. So
a word to everybody using the parking down there: maybe find other parking garages or find other places to park.
And don't work with Spot Hero because I'm sorry to say it, but do not. If you're going to be in a situation where you're going to be trapped in an enclosed space rather than in an open air space where you can easily move it out, and Spot Hero does have those spots. What you'll want to do is work directly with the vendor and don't bother with Spot Hero. Because they are not going to be, because they are not willing to take action against underperforming vendors.
Yeah, and this is just one example of our modernized commerce system with the electronic payments for things. I just recently had an issue trying to pay my condo monthly assessment because my bank, for some reason, was having some electronic problems making payments to a payment receiver of my condo board association. And I'm like, what's going on here? All you guys needed is an account number and a routing number. Why are you having so many problems? And it seems to be a thing that's happening everywhere, where everyone's got to deal with making payments electronically, but then nobody wants to make the proper connections.
Kathy Powers,
right.
And I've actually read some of the responses on Yelp. Somebody said that, she had to call the cops. It took an hour and a half, multiple calls, and a couple of cops to get her out of there.
Fire department would probably be more responsive.
I would, well, but you're calling 911, you're going to get whoever they route you to. So it's not like you really have that option. This should not be happening. It should never be happening. And it is happening. Granted, we are in Chicago, but there it is, folks.
I appreciate you bringing that to our attention so we can also share it with our viewers to kind of, do what they can to avoid being taken hostage and getting stuck in a similar predicament.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I wanted to share that with good folks. I am going to have to get going, but I did want to share it with you all. And of course, it's great to see both you gentlemen, my highly esteemed colleagues here in Chicago media. And, let folks know about this and be on your guard.
Be vigilant.
Be vigilant.
Yeah.
Lainie,
all right, friends.
Tonight.
I'll see y'all later. Goodbye.
Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Lainie. Yeah. Sorry, we cannot let you leave our electronic garage unless you give us
$1 million.
And
that's a lot of money.
Oh my God, Ed.
Ouch.
Oh my God, we've got some more. 3. Count them 3 breaking news story.
Wait, hang on. Just 1 second here. Excuse me. We have a city ordinance that says you cannot have 3 breaking news stories in one show. You can't do it, Jerry.
Get her off. We do have 3 breaking news stories coming in from the Chicago Contrarian. Frankenstein escaped the lab. News alert. Frankenstein escaped the lab.
She's all right. That girl's all right with me.
Are we getting audio?
Yeah, the video's choppy.
This is the extended version.
She's all right. That girl's all right with me. Yeah.
This is the extended version.
I can lick it, I can ride it while you slipping and sliding. I can do all them little tricks and keep the dick up inside it. You can smack it, you can grip it, you can go down and kiss it. And every time he leave me alone, he always tell me he miss it. He wanna F-R-E-A-K-F-R-E.
Yeah, we're totally gonna get DMCA'd for that.
Yeah, we are, but I'll appeal it and we'll win. Second breaking news story. How did this Chicago divvy bike end up in Mexico?
Now, hold on. You can't count today, Jerry. That's 4. This is 4.
Okay, this is our fourth breaking news story. All right. Chicagoan Ruperto Vergara spotted this characteristic bright blue bike parked outside a Mexican grocery store. A lost or stolen bike can cost a user $1,200.
Yes, if you're watching us from Mexico and you happen to know the guy who's rolling around that town with the divvy bike, we'd like to see if you could ask him to give us a ring. We'd love to have him on the show and ask him how he got that thing up there.
Everybody's claiming that people are pouring into our country. Apparently, people are pouring out and they're using our divvy bikes to get out of here. So
it's a pretty solid bike.
It is. Ruperto Vergara was on vacation visiting family in Santa Ana Maya, Mexico, and he recognized a bike that may have taken the long way there. It was a divvy bike from Chicago, parked near a grocery store. I just saw those 4 little stars at the bottom, said Vergara, who was born and raised in Chicago. It was our bike. He snapped a photo on his way back to his car to prove it. Somebody there had it for sure. But I wasn't going to stay and investigate, Vergara said. I just took a picture because I thought it was funny.
Does it say which city in Mexico?
I have to finish reading the article and hopefully we'll find that out. Vergara's post blew up among family and friends on Facebook and then on Twitter, with everyone wondering how its wheels spun across the border. Santa Ana Maya is over 2,000 miles southwest of Chicago, so it is in Santa Ana Maya. There's nothing new you'll see in Mexico, Vergara joked, and I'm used to seeing license plates here from the States, but never a bike before. Whoever got charged for it must be sitting with a big bill.
All right, hang on a second. We gotta go Chicago, Illinois, to Santa Ana Maya, and let's take a look at that really quick here.
All right, I'm going to continue with the article. While we can't blame this bike for heading south as Chicago's winter sets in, the reality is that sometimes Divvy bikes are stolen, and that impacts our riders in Chicago, Divvy spokesperson Colin Wright said. Divvy is aware of the bike in Mexico, but company leaders do not know how this bike ended up so far from home. A lost or stolen bike can cost a Divvy user $1,200 if it was left unattended, improperly docked, and is still missing for a couple of days, a spokesperson said.
You know, Jerry, it's only 2,051 miles, 168 hours to bike, down there. I guess it's doable.
Yeah, someone having their own marathon. So, and our sixth breaking news. Are you keeping count?
Are we on 5? I think now. This was 4.
We're on 5. Okay, so I guess we're going to bring up now our 6th breaking news story, which scared, if I can make a pun here, scared the bejesus out of me.
How many times? Wait, hold on. How many times do we have to play the opening breaking news thing, though?
No, just once. We don't have to keep playing it. Let me lead us. Let me lead us through. I'm at the helm right now, Mr. Heller.
I know. I'm just asking questions.
Okay. Man dressed like Jesus attacked a woman on the Brown Line, as reported by CWB Chicago.
Is it a Cabello clone?
Oh, could it be a Cabello clone? I don't know. Let me continue the article. Let me read. Let me cover it, and we can talk about it. A man who was reportedly dressed like Jesus Christ, and those kid clones do have that look, punched a woman in the mouth while riding a CTA train in Lincoln Park on Thursday morning, according to a Chicago police report. A CPD spokesperson said the victim, 24, was seated on a Brown Line train when the man punched her in the mouth without provocation around 8:30 a.m. She got off at Fullerton to seek assistance, but he apparently continued riding to Diversey.
Get your hand off my penis! No. What is the charge? Eating a meal? A succulent Chinese meal?
Officers on the scene reported that the woman had the woman was assaulted. That's not funny. I don't understand why someone decided to dress up as the Lord Jesus to assault people.
The circumstances are bizarre, so there's humor in that, but the actual assault is not funny.
The assault is not funny, but I think you might be onto something, Kit or Ed, with this guy who's dressed as Jesus's look. It's not the first time we've taken note that our very own Kit Cabello is sporting a look similar to the Messiah. All right? And maybe it's another one of those clones that got loose, and they mistook him for Jesus. An officer who interviewed the woman radioed that she remembered him being about 5'10" tall, wearing a sleeveless black shirt and a crown on his head like Jesus. Well, okay, we can rule out Kit's clones because I know that they don't sport the crown of thorns. Police reviewed CTA surveillance footage and spotted a suspect who exited the train at Diversey. He was black, in his 40s, had long hair, a crown of thorns on his head, and wore black sandals and with white soles, an officer said. The suspect also appeared to be wearing a skirt or dress while carrying a metal bar or pole. The same man returned to the Diversey station around 10 a.m. and boarded an inbound train, according to the surveillance officer, but the man has not been arrested. Area 3 detectives are.
Well, we lost.
So we got to worry about
the last part again. We had a little glitch there.
Okay, so the last part was The same man returned to the Diversey station around 10 a.m. and boarded an inbound train, according to the surveillance officer, but the man is not being arrested. Area 3 detectives are handling the investigation.
So he's on the loose?
He's on the loose along with Cabello's clones. I mean, we really are, I think, between Biden looking like he's going to trigger World War III, Cabello's clones on the loose, and some guy dressed up as Jesus assaulting people. Ed, I think we're very, very close to Judgment Day and the apocalypse.
Yeah. Turkey Day in the chat says Jesus attacks could work as full-time. Is that what feature? Or Wall Street Journal coverage. I don't know what FT is. Of the attack of Ukraine, Russia by I don't know.
Work as full-time. Jesus attacks could work as full-time or Financial Times or Wall Street Journal coverage of the attack of Ukraine, Russia by Empire America.
Okay. I think Jesus attacks is a great title. That for like a horror type action film, like Mars Attacks, only it's Jesus Attacks.
Yeah. All right. So I saw those stories and I figured I wanted to entertain our audience before we got to the more serious content in tonight's show. So let me transition into our next story. We're transitioning back into serious journalism or serious commentary and reporting. All right.
We are? Okay.
Yeah. I guess we got to take off our clown masks. All right. So, along with, hiding these day of actions where she doesn't want her critics to show up and, present her with their issues, more cover-ups, more hiding, more cover-ups, more suppression. City lawyers try again to block Mayor Lori Lightfoot deposition in the CPD whistleblower case. So the city's lawyers don't feel that the mayor has an obligation and a responsibility, to either be deposed or for her deposition to be presented publicly. This comes to us from the Chicago Sun-Times, which, by the way, they have blocked their paywall, which I think is cool because we can access stories now from them along with Block Club Chicago. Maybe the Tribune will drop their paywall soon also. This comes from Andy Grimm. Isaac Lambert claims he was demoted for refusing to lie about a fellow officer's shooting of an autistic teen. Oh, by the way, you know what does fit with this particular story, Ed?
I look at this town, and I don't like what I see anymore.
Who knew we'd have two cop watch stories tonight? So getting back to the article.
Two that we're covering.
Well, yeah, right. Right. A week before the deadline for Mayor Lori Lightfoot to answer questions under oath in a Chicago police whistleblower lawsuit, lawyers for the city are asking a judge to block the deposition. There's an election coming up. You wouldn't want that deposition and the mayor's sworn statements under oath to go public if there was if there was anything that was out of order, would you?
What's she hiding, Jerry?
Good question. Cook County Judge Thomas Donnelly last month ordered Lightfoot to sit for a 1-hour deposition with lawyers for Chicago police officer Isaac Lambert, who claims he was demoted by the department after he refused a superior's request to lie to protect a fellow officer involved in the 27 shooting of an unarmed autistic teen. You would think a mayor of a world-class metropolitan city like Chicago would want to set the record straight, be transparent, share what she knew, as well as make sure that this son of a bitch who killed the unarmed autistic teen never wears a badge or carries a gun again. But the city wants to insulate her from that. The deposition was to take place remember, guys, tomorrow morning, 10:30 a.m. at that Fellowship Baptist Church. We want to hear what you think about our mayor's record and her policies and how she runs things. Cook County Judge Thomas Donnelly last month ordered Lightfoot to sit for a 1-hour deposition with lawyers. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm repeating that paragraph. The deposition was set to take place by October 15th. but lawyers for the city have filed a motion asking Donnelly to reverse his order from September. A hearing on the motion is set for October 11th. Lightfoot will not be able to provide information relevant to Lambert's case, city lawyers said in their motion. Quote, this alone should warrant protecting the mayor from an unnecessary oral interrogation. That's what she said. Brought for no articulable reason other than to harass and inconvenience the highest elected official in the third largest city in the nation, the filing states. Those are those are very lofty claims, aren't they?
Inconvenience? What's she busy doing? Planning NASCAR races, having fun at...
She's all right. That girl's all right with me. Yeah.
That's what they're going to be. That's what the deposition is going to interrupt.
I mean, yeah, her good times. That's what they're interrupting.
In 2016, Lightfoot chaired then Mayor Rahm Emanuel's Police Accountability Task Force. It gets juicier, Ed. A blue ribbon panel set up to investigate the Chicago Police Department soon after the release of video showing CPD officer Jason Van Dyke executing 17-year-old Laquan McDonald, shooting him 16 times. Among the findings in a report issued in 2016 was that a, quote, code of silence existed within the department and was a key factor in the CPD's inability to hold officers accountable for misconduct. In 2017, Sergeant Khalil Muhammad shot 18-year-old Ricardo Hayes near his home in Morgan Park. Lambert said he refused superiors' requests to change reports to say that Muhammad was a victim of an aggravated assault by Hayes, his lawsuit states. Video of the shooting shows Hayes running and skipping near Muhammad's home as Muhammad was driving home after his shift. Muhammad allegedly called the teenager to come toward his car, then shot twice from inside his vehicle, hitting the teen twice. 5 days after the final draft was submitted by detectives nearly 2 years after the shooting, Lambert's supervisor told him he was being sent to the patrol division, according to the lawsuit. When Lambert asked why he was being transferred in what he considered a demotion, the supervisor told him it was an order from Chief of Detectives Melissa Staples. The commander of detectives for Area South, Rodney Blissett, also has sued the department, claiming that he too was demoted after he denied to a city attorney that he had ordered Lambert's transfer. The city paid $2.25 million to settle a lawsuit filed by Hayes, who was struck twice by bullets fired by Muhammad. Muhammad was given a 6-month suspension for the shooting, a punishment that Lightfoot, while she was running for mayor in 2019, said was too lenient. What do we have to unwrap here, Ed?
Just that, I mean, even when you have accountability organizations, if they don't take the recommendations, if we're not going to actually have accountability, why are they there? For optics, apparently, but nothing else.
When Rahm was mayor and when she was holding police accountable, this is one of the things that she ran on. And she said that his suspension was too lenient. Now she doesn't want to deal with the inconvenience of a deposition to set the record straight. While she's also now publicly announcing her public events to try to control the narrative regarding her reelection. Look, this is all tied together, okay? This is preceding an election. Whatever she has to, under oath, reveal in a deposition, clearly her attorneys feel that this is going to be damaging to her and can be used against her because she probably fucked up somewhere like she always does. Or something's going to come out that shows that she has no control over what's going on, while she's desperately clinging to control everywhere else to control the optics regarding her service as mayor, which is woefully inadequate. So I just find it interesting that, we're not going to talk about her, her get together Saturday morning, her take action rally. because we only want supporters there. We don't want anybody. We don't want dissenters.
Well, you know what that is that they probably don't want people to know how desperately they need to get signatures so she can get on the ballot.
Yeah.
And they need people to help her with that.
Yeah. She will perjure herself.
And, and I know that politicians end up hiring people to do that kind of stuff, but something tells me that maybe they're not getting the signatures that they need, and they're desperate at this point.
I think
I'm speculating, though.
No, you've got some great insight there, Ed, because if she weren't in trouble with the petition drive, why would they want to keep the collection of petitions secret? Wouldn't they want to appeal to a lot of people to come help them? Of course not, because she knows that she's in trouble.
To be fair, I think a lot of political campaigns try not to make every single thing that they do open to the public when it's smaller actions that they're doing within their campaign. But that said, this isn't one of those things. She should be, instead of focusing on all the other stuff, like the karaoke and her good times, she should be focusing, if she gives a crap about getting reelected, about, outreach for her campaign.
See, she calls tomorrow a day of action. When I hear day of action, as far as civic gatherings go, it means for the participants to engage in action that's going to help people. This day of action is to get her on the ballot.
Yeah, the day of action is to put on some comfortable shoes and go out and knock on people's doors and see if you can get enough signatures. Right. Because apparently whatever she was doing ain't cutting it.
Without any dissent from anybody, I would imagine that maybe there are some protesters that want to put on their comfortable shoes and follow the petition gatherers. I'm not advocating for that. I don't know how many people are watching us tonight or paid attention to my tweet on social media that this is happening.
Yeah, and I don't know if we want to reach out to other candidates running for mayor and have them compete at knocking at the same doors, saying no, wait, sign my petition instead. We wouldn't want to do that kind of stochastic activism here, Jerry.
We haven't tagged any other candidates on Twitter to let them know this was happening tomorrow, or maybe we did. But really more to balance the playing field, because she chose to go crash the progressive mayoral debate forum a couple weeks ago that she wasn't invited to, having her flunkies pass out literature that we reported on, claiming she's a progressive candidate when she's not. So I just figured it was probably fair to let people know on Twitter that this is happening tomorrow, so that, perhaps some of her opponents can go participate and share information the way her flunkies were sharing information, actually sharing inadequate information at the progressive debate that she wasn't invited to a couple weeks back. Oh, Kathy, slow to the party. I did tag you. I don't know if you've been on Twitter tonight. Anyway.
Well, we can always retweet that a few hundred times.
Yeah, I've encouraged everybody to retweet it. Everybody who's on Twitter tonight.
All right.
So, that's.
Are we breaking any more news this evening? I think they're all broken now.
Let's see here. Let me get to my. Well, you know what, Ed? Amazingly, surprised 2.5. How many breaking stories did we have tonight?
5.
6 now? 5 or 6?
I think 5.
Okay, now we have one more.
I look at this town, and I don't like what I see anymore.
All right. Yay, Sly. Love that movie, Copland. All right, so this comes from WBEZ Chicago, as reported by Chip Mitchell. A Chicago police trainer gets probation for shooting an unarmed teen driver.
That one.
Officer Ken Bunge, who taught cops when to use force, shot without provocation at 2 19-year-olds who were sitting in their parked car outside of a 7-Eleven, I might mention.
Yeah, before you go further into that, Jerry, okay, all you guys who were in his class, you got to take it again. Not with him. Not with him.
Thank you.
Okay.
A Chicago police trainer who faced 12 felony counts for his unprovoked shooting of an unarmed teenager will not be sent to prison after a plea agreement with Cook County State's Attorney Kim Fox's office. There's another one who's got to be shown to the door. Officer Kevin Bunge, 40, pleaded guilty September 14 to a single count of aggravated discharge of a firearm for the off-duty 2020 shooting on the North Side. Prosecutors dropped the other counts, including attempted murder and aggravated battery, whose minimum sentences carried prison terms, and you know why, because he carries a badge. Judge Charles P. Burns ordered 30 months of probation, 5 days in a sheriff's work program, a $549 fine, and mental health management treatment. Why didn't they vet all that stuff before they gave him the gun and the badge? I don't know. Bunge's attorney, Timothy Grace, hailed the plea deal. He received no special treatment or benefit because he was a law enforcement officer, Grace wrote to WBEZ, saying the prosecutors recognized that Bunge made a mistake in that he believed that the victims were about to engage in a vehicular carjacking. A statement from Fox's office said the victims, Jamner Orozco Carreto and Carlos Ramirez, agreed with the resolution of this case. We communicated directly with the victims and their civil attorneys to ensure that they were aware of the possible resolution. Another statement from Fox's office said, adding that the felony conviction will lead to Bunge's Illinois decertification as a cop and to revocation of his state firearm owner's identification card until he moves to another state and gets a gig as a cop somewhere else, as they all do.
Probably Kenosha.
So here's my other issue with this, is that you suspect that these two individuals are engaged in a carjacking. Why do you approach the car and start opening fire? That is the mindset now. Yeah. Shoot first, ask questions later.
Yeah, that's not de-escalation, Jerry.
No, it's not. But Bunge's sentence appears unusually light for an offense initially categorized by prosecutors as aggravated battery with a firearm, according to a WBEZ analysis of Cook County criminal case data posted online by Fox's office. Fox's own office. Over the last 5 years, of the 404 defendants who have pled guilty in cases categorized that way, more than 92% have been sentenced to prison. Orozco, Carreto, and Ramirez, both 19 years old during the shooting, wanted to avoid the re-traumatizing experience of testifying at trial. So this asshole got off because these two kids, and they are kids, all right, 18, 19, they're young people. You know what, Ed? When I was 20 years old, I went through a very traumatic experience, and I can tell you, you don't want to keep reliving it when you're that age because you're not mature enough to understand how to handle it. So I think basically based on the fact that these kids didn't want to be put through the ringer again with that, this cop got off easy. Whether they say, oh, well, they took away his FOID card and everything else, he got off easy. All right. Both 19 years old during the shooting wanted to avoid the re-traumatizing experience of testifying at trial, according to their attorney, Brad Thompson. The lack of victim testimony would have been a blow to the prosecution. Still, Thompson said the victims wanted a sentence tougher than the probation. The judge in this case showed this officer a lot of leniency, and that's leniency that other residents of this city who are charged with crimes do not see, Thompson said. And those residents are typically, what do you think, Ed? Black people
of color.
People of color.
Yeah.
Orozco Carreto, the teen hit by one of Bunge's shots, wrote a statement presented to the judge at the sentencing. You need to use your power to make Officer Bunge understand that he has to pay for the crime he committed against us, the victim wrote. You need to let him and the public know that police officers are not above the law, that they must answer for the crimes they commit. The evening of December 11th, 2020, Bunge... okay, go ahead, Ed.
He's not wrong, is all I was going to say. He's absolutely spot on.
The evening of December 11th, 2020, Bunge returned from teaching at the police academy and parked outside his home on West Irving Park Road. As cold rain sprinkled down, Orozco, Carreto, and Ramirez pulled up in a red hatchback and parked behind Bunge's white SUV. They said later they had pulled over simply to find directions to a party. Bunge, a former Marine, diagnosed with PTSD, was in the SUV listening to an audiobook about the Battle of Fallujah, according to Grace, who said the officer had been the victim of a recent carjacking. He noticed the vehicle behind him, and the thoughts that were going through his mind were, why is the victim parked so close to me? What are they doing? Grace said at the officer's bond hearing. Bunge, who'd been a CPD officer so we've got an officer who's been serving as a CPD officer with post-traumatic stress disorder for 7 years. They've never 7 years. I'm sorry, 7 years. He's been serving post-traumatic stress disorder. He's a veteran, clearly untreated or unmanaged. And he heard gunfire and saw someone getting into the hatchback and pointing a gun at him, according to a prosecutor at the bond hearing.
Was it gunfire on his audiobook?
Surveillance videos from multiple angles posted online by a city agency investigating the shooting show nothing like that. The victims seemed to be in their car throughout the incident. Bunge got out of his SUV and stepped toward the hatchback with his pistol drawn, the footage shows. He shot once, striking Orozco Corretto in the right hand. Orozco Corretto backed the hatchback away, and Bunge shot again. A video shows that round hit a fender of the hatchback, according to police. You know what this is, Ed? This is unmanaged mental health issues for the officer. And we talked about this in a previous show. We were talking about the strain on police officers in Chicago and the fact that there were a limited amount of mental health caseworkers serving the departments across the city of Chicago. So you've got this veteran, and I'm going to be fair here, a veteran who's a police officer for 7 years, who's apparently has untreated PTSD, listening to an audiobook about the Battle of Fallujah.
Yeah, why would you do that to yourself?
Flashbacks while you're listening?
Why?
I'm speculating. You're listening to that. You have PTSD. You get triggered by what you see behind you, already in a paranoid state of mind with your PTSD, and this is what manifests. Orozco Corretto backed the hatchback away, and Bunge shot again. A video shows that round hit a fender of the hatchback. Orozco Corretto and Ramirez quickly called 911. They say the officers who responded, what do you think they did, Ed?
Arrested him, of course.
But police did not find any gun in their car or any evidence they had fired shots. Thank goodness for all the surveillance cameras, because who knows if this guy Bunge would have had some of his fellow officers falsify reports and plant a gun or do all the things similar in the story that just preceded this one regarding Lightfoot not wanting to testify at a hearing regarding cops who were filing a lawsuit against the city because they were dismissed because they were whistleblowers and they did want to tell the truth.
Yeah, and I'm of the default opinion that more surveillance is typically bad, but if it's going to protect us from bad actors, then I guess there's a use for it sometimes. It's sad that this has to be one of those sometimes.
So Corona Ursa in the live chat thought it was the officer shooting a teen parked outside a McDonald's story. I was trying to keep I shared that in Slack. Ed, can you find that? Because that did not happen in Chicago.
Oh,
but as I read this story, I was thinking exactly the same thing, Corona Ursa, and I can't juggle and pull that clip up.
I think Kit retweeted it earlier today.
Yeah, if you can find that, Ed, let me continue the article and have it ready. But let me get through the rest of the article. Because it's the same thing. Cops they jump out of their cars and they just start shooting. It's like the wild, wild west. Okay? Post-traumatic stress aside, this asshole seriously had some issues that triggered what he did. I don't know what the excuse was for the officer with the video outside the McDonald's shooting at the teen who opened the car's door and just started shooting into the car. We'll have that video up, even though it didn't happen in Chicago. But it does relate a lot to what we're talking about regarding police culture, fearing for their lives, shooting first, and asking questions. Well, not even asking questions later. Shooting first and trying to cover things up later. All right. More than 3 months later, okay, so police did not find a gun in their car or any evidence they'd fired shots. More than 3 months later, Bunge was arrested and charged. 3 months later, Bunge, despite all the surveillance video, 3 months later, he was arrested and charged with aggravated battery with a firearm and aggravated discharge of a firearm. The case against the officer expanded in April of 2021 when a grand jury indicted him on the 12 counts, including the attempted murder and aggravated battery charges, 4 counts of aggravated discharge of a weapon, and 6 counts of official misconduct. Orozco, Corretto, and Ramirez, meantime, sued the city and Bunge. This past February, the city council approved a $1.2 million settlement. You know what, Ed? Even if it's our taxpayer money paying out on these lawsuits, they didn't get enough, I think.
Okay.
Fox's office asked whether Bunge's sentence was fair, sent a statement that said the court accepted the defendant's plea after a presentation of facts, the defendant's criminal history, and other aggravating and mitigating factors. You know what, Kim Fox? Fuck you too. Fuck you too.
Okay.
Why don't you share that video, Ed?
I have the video, but I just want to let people know that there is sounds of gunfire and there could be a person being shot. And so if you're sensitive to that stuff, you may want to tune out for about 45 seconds. Okay? You've been warned. Here we go.
Get out of the car. What? Shots fired! Shots fired! Shots fired! Shots fired! Shots fired!
Where's constipational conservative in the live chat to defend the police?
Yeah, so he's calling on his radio shots fired. He's the one who fired the shots.
Do you know that the kid was arrested later for fleeing the scene, Ed?
Yeah.
And there are people speculating he was not parked. He had his brake light on. He didn't decide to flee this. And who wouldn't flee a scene if someone opens your door that you don't know with a gun pointed in your face?
Yeah, and now there's another tweet where they're saying that the cop who was shooting had thought that this was the same car he was pursuing the previous night that apparently evaded him, and he was mistaken. It was not the same car.
And you know what? Even if it was,
yeah, he shouldn't have been shooting like
there's
that.
a whole set of rules of engagement that you go through.
Yeah.
What's the first, Ed? Call for backup. Do you want it to be a cowboy? If let's take his defense seriously.
Yeah.
I'm a cop. This car looks like another car I saw the night before. First of all, I would imagine I would have the license plate from the night before to see if it's a match. Number one. Okay. Yeah. Let's say he didn't have it, but it looks like the same car. Okay. It's parked. Mm-hmm. Someone's inside eating a hamburger. Before I even got to the window to see he was eating a hamburger, I would have called for backup. I'm not a police officer. I would have
This is common sense, Jerry.
Right? I would have stayed neutral. I wouldn't have alerted whoever was in the car to my presence. I would have called for backup. I would have had 2 cars come from the opposite direction in front of the perceived perp, turn the lights on, get out of the car, approach the car, ask whoever's in the car to get out. This asshole goes up to the window, opens the door with a gun in the driver's face, and immediately starts shooting.
Yeah, there's no defense for that. Really.
Of course not. But again, it speaks to these stories that we share all the time of police culture. And you know what? I'm going to give credit to the officers in the previous story that acted as whistleblowers and filed lawsuits because they were punished for being whistleblowers. This is why cops don't become whistleblowers, because they get punished. They get demoted. They get reassigned. And that's what protects and covers up for all of these bad cops that we're always screaming about every night, every broadcast.
Yeah, I hear Oreo meowing in the background there.
I think he's upset about the story too.
Yeah.
And now he's going into my water. Give me a second to wet my.
Do you hear that, Jerry?
I did.
Is that on your end?
I think that's coming from the ether. I think that that's preceding a story we're going to be talking about after this next one, which relates to what we've previously reported on regarding the migrants that were bused to Chicago. That Lori Lightfoot complained she had no notification about, while also, making sure everybody knew we were a sanctuary city and we welcomed those migrants before she decided to bus them unannounced to Burr Ridge, or bus many of them to Burr Ridge. So this particular story comes to us from Joe Ward at Block Club Chicago. The Leone Beach Field House in Rogers Park has been converted to a shelter for migrants bused from Texas because, Ed, we don't have other vacant buildings or properties that actually have adequate facilities like bathrooms, showers, warm places to sleep anywhere else across the city. We're going to use beach houses that are for public use on a beach. Look at this. This is how you treat. Look, this is how we expect homeless people to sleep, right? Which is not we expect. The city expects, because they're not providing the same kind of amenities or trying to solve the problem of homelessness with all those vacant properties we talk about. But again, this is where they've put the migrants. The oldest lakefront building in the city will temporarily serve as an emergency housing shelter to help the over 2,000 asylum seekers brought to Chicago from Texas. Welcome to America.
How big is that thing? It can't possibly hold 2,000 people.
I think the article is going to explain to us what they're thinking.
Okay.
The field house at Leone Beach Park has been converted into a temporary emergency shelter to help house the thousands of migrants being bused to Chicago from Texas. The field house was converted to a housing shelter last week and is now sheltering asylum seekers sent to Chicago by Texas Governor Greg Abbott, according to Alderman Maria Hadden of the 49th. Leone Beach Park's field house is not generally open to the public and is used mostly in the summer as storage and break rooms for lifeguards, Hadden said in an announcement to neighbors on social media. What's going on back there? I heard some knocking. I thought Oreo was scratching or knocking something. For the time being, it's going to be a temporary shelter for a few of the migrants newly arriving in the city. Do you hear that?
I do. It's weird.
Oreo, where are you?
Does he have a drum kit, Jerry?
No, I know what it is. It's coming from my bedroom. That's my other cat, Sylvester. He is boxing with himself in the mirror. I just realized. Do you ever see a cat mirror box?
Oh, that's awesome.
That's what he's doing. Yeah, I thought it was behind the TV, and I thought maybe Oreo got trapped, but that's Sylvester. He does that a lot. All right, anyway, back to the article. I was just like, what the hell's going on back there? Do I need to be worried? So, to your question, Ed, thousands of migrants, how's this going to work? For the time being, it's going to be a temporary shelter for a few of the migrants newly arriving in the city. These are very temporary situations. The city and county and the state are doing what they can in order to make sure we can receive people. The Chicago Park District Field House on the Rogers Park lakefront is the latest building to be converted to a shelter as city officials scramble to provide services for the migrants who began arriving at the end of August. You know what this reminds me of, though, Ed? All the SRO housing in Uptown and on the north side that got shut down for all of these new, developments that are going up that residents in these neighborhoods can't afford to live in. Through Tuesday, 2,078 migrants have been brought to Chicago from Texas, officials said. The High Ridge YMCA building in West Ridge was converted to a shelter last month, capable of housing 120 people. The YMCA outpost closed its doors in early 2021. A city official said the city could not confirm the location of the temporary housing shelters for privacy reasons, but did say officials are working to find shelters for families, single women and single men, and to help with resettlement services. A Park District spokesperson referred to inquiries to the city's agencies handling services for newly arriving migrants. Leone Beach's Park Field House was built in 1900 as a pumping station and is the oldest building on the city's lakefront. The building is seldom used outside of the beach season. Last year, it was in the running for a $1.5 million in city funds to be converted into a nature center. The project lost to a proposed renovation of Warren Park's sports fields. Park officials announced late last year that Leone Beach Park would get a nature play space. Haddon's 49th Ward is collecting donations for the migrants being housed locally. Items accepted for donation include baby products, toiletries, toys, and clothing for children and adults. They can be dropped off at the ward office, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. weekdays at 1447 West Morse Avenue. Donations should not be brought to the shelter sites, and volunteers are not needed on site, Haddon said. There's a lot of secrecy regarding this site, don't you think? I understand privacy issues, but
it's weird. Yeah, I mean,
What does that mean? It's hinky.
Oh, it's strange.
Weird. Well, don't you say strange or weird? I mean, hinky, that has no meaning.
We say hinky.
I don't want you guys using words when I got no meaning.
it's that statement is just kind of weird. Just, you know, volunteers are not needed on site. I guess they're just hoping that that people aren't just going to show up and say, "Oh, can I help?" And maybe that's a security risk. I don't know.
I would imagine they would parse that with donations should not be brought to the shelter sites and volunteers are not needed on site. However, if you wish to help, contact our office.
Yeah, or how about tell them where donations should be brought?
Well, they did say They did say they were accepting items.
At the ward office. Okay.
Right. Yeah, the donations can be dropped off at the ward office, but apparently they got it all under control as far as manpower. Converting non-shelter facilities into emergency housing for migrants is funded in part with federal dollars, Haddon said. The idea should be explored more closely as a possible partial solution for Rogers Parks and the city's homeless crisis. Quote, "We're working diligently to house our unsheltered neighbors," Haddon said. "We're learning from these situations as well to try and provide better solutions long-term for people." For more on the 49th Ward donation drive, you can click on the Block Club Chicago article that's also linked in our show description below. The city's volunteer and donation information to help newly arriving migrants is also linked at that article. It just blows me away to your point, Ed, that the article basically presents itself as we're using this facility to help the thousands of migrants being bussed in. That looks like it's a closed down beach house with maybe 2 bathrooms in it, I would imagine. And how many other vacant structures and accommodations are available all over the rest of the city of Chicago? This does not seem very welcoming to migrants as a sanctuary city. It seems like we're going to shove you away into what looks like a concentration camp bunker until we take you to that airport in Indiana and get you the hell out of here, as Kit reported on previously. Which airport was that?
Was it Gary, probably?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what that.
Well, you know, I mean, city workers and city council people, they're too busy planning their karaoke plans to actually, you know, try and house everybody substantially in all the locations. You know, it's like they don't want to disrupt their regular daily thing, so let's put them all in one spot with one alderman who's been causing us problems.
Oh, wait.
Come on, oh, baby, don't you wanna go? Come on, oh, baby, don't you wanna go back to that same old place?
Sorry, Ed. I inadvertently. Where did Ed go? Oh, I'm sure he'll be back. All right. So, yeah, that kind of concludes that particular story. And I guess we're going to be transitioning into our next story, although I think I lost the signal from Ed. Ed, are you there? Ed? Mr. Heller? Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize. It seems that we lost our esteemed co-host and colleague, Ed Heller. However, as we transition into our next story regarding the 151st Bacardi anniversary of the Great Chicago Fire, it seems that we have a guest from...
We didn't start the fire. It was always burning since the world's been... What? Hey, who are you?
My name's Jerry. What have you done with Ed?
Who? Oh, you mean that dude who lives in the place that I haunt? No, he's around. He's around, but I'm here now. My name is Pegleg Sullivan. This is my cow Bessie, and I
can't hear
guess
Bessie. I can't hear Bessie.
You can't hear Bessie?
Now we hear her.
Yeah, she's usually pretty talkative. I don't know how you can't hear Bessie.
So Pegleg, what is the what do we have to thank for your appearance here tonight? You know what happens, Jerry, is around this time every year, there's some weird break in the ethereal plane over Chicago, usually near DeKoven Street. And that's kind of where the O'Leary's barn was, which is actually where I used to keep Bessie also. And you guys may or may not have heard of me. I'm somewhat infamous because people think that I started the Great Chicago Fire. We know who you are and we know what you did.
I didn't do it. In fact, I actually wrote a poem about it. I don't know if any of you got to hear it before, but I'd love to read it for you.
You have a poem. I thought our only poet at Chicago Corner was Kathy Powers, but it looks like Pegleg has started writing his own poetry. So I sure, let's hear it. I'm very, very curious to hear this poem commemorating the anniversary of the Great Chicago Fire.
Okay. Is it all right if I bring up the notes so people can read along?
No, of course it is. Go right ahead.
Oh, fantastic. All right. Here we go. 'Twas the night before Pegleg is the title, which is just because I like to put my name in the titles. Deepest and most sincere apologies to the ghost of Clement Clark Moore, because I totally cribbed off of his poem that some of you may find familiar with this one. And here we go. 'Twas the night before Columbus Day, and all through the barn now, not a creature was stirring, not even a milk cow. The milking bucket was hung by the hay bales. That's a hard thing to say. Hay bales with care, in hopes that those gambling hooligans from DeKoven Street were no longer there. You know, Jerry, there were all these guys used to gamble in the barn. They would smoke cigars and they would drink like crazy. I used to have to kick them out of the bar.
Your buddies that you were drinking and gambling with, you mean?
Well, I mean, a couple of them were buddies. I mean, hell, you guys know I was a dray man. That's a beer delivery guy. And so I used to deliver to the bars that actually weren't too far away from the barn.
And it seems like you were living in some of those barns also, specifically the O'Leary one. Is why what's been rumored. What rumors persist regarding that?
I have been known to nap in a barn from time to time, but I did not live there, Jerry.
All right.
Okay. Now, where did I leave off? Oh, yes. The O'Learys were nestled all snug in their beds while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. You know, sugar plums are pretty popular back then in the 1870s.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. And Bessie in her cowchief, that's kind of like a kerchief, but for cows. Yeah. And I in my top hat. Well, I got a shorter one this time because otherwise it won't fit in the video screen. Yeah. had just settled our brains for a long harvest nap. When out in the barn, there arose such a clatter, I vaulted from the bed with my peg. You see, I have a peg too, Jerry.
Well, I don't have a peg, but I share your. I feel you.
It's.
I don't really feel you, but I understand.
Oh, okay. All right. No offense. To see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters and threw up the sash. You know, those shutter sashes, those are usually pretty fancy things. I don't even know how the hell I had one in a barn, but there it was. The moon on the door of the faded red barn. By the way, the moon this weekend, oh my God, that thing's going to be so orange. You guys should check that out. Revealed something quite odd that would give me alarm. When what to my bloodshot eyes should appear but a miniature sleigh and 7 tiny reindeer. Yeah, they didn't have Rudolph yet. They just had the 7. With a little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be Saint Nick. More rapid than eagles, his coursers they came. Coursers, you know, we're talking about deer. And he whistled and shouted and called them by name. I don't know if I need to do the Santa Claus voice here on. You want to do it, Jerry?
Ho, ho, ho! Now Dasher! Now Dancer! Now Prancer and Vixen! On Comet, on Cupid, on Bessie and Blitzen! To the top of the porch, to the top of the wall! Now dash away, dash away, dash away all! Santa Claus was played by late Cubs and Sox announcer Harry Carey.
That was pretty good. I enjoyed that immensely. Thank you, Jerry. I hopped toward Harry Carey. Yes, it was great.
Oh, wait! You know, we got to take it back a step.
Because we got it. Holy cow! You know,
take it back.
Oh, we got to do that again as Lori? Okay, yeah.
I got to do it again as, yeah, all right, here we go.
Do it again as Lori, and then we can always fix it in post.
Yeah. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Bessie and Blitzen, to the top of the porch, to the top of the wall, now dash away, dash away, dash away all. I have the biggest dick in Chicago.
I don't remember Santa sounding like that. But let's continue. I hopped toward the barn as that jolly elf flew, and when I got there, I could hear a loud moo. I shouted at Nick, "What's the matter with you? You messed up the barn. Now you take my cow too?" I knew right away that this guy can't be sober. He was driving his reindeer in freaking October. Yeah, because it was, it was before Columbus Day is when the Great Chicago Fire started, right? Yeah. I yelled out again as my good leg got the cramp. "Your reindeer knocked over a kerosene lamp." See, not my fault. So up to the housetop, cow and reindeer flew with the sleigh full of toys and St. Nicholas too. And then in a twinkling, I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof as I drew in my head and furrowed my brow. Down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a cow. My cow! I guess Bessie just wanted to go for a joyride. Nick was all dressed in fur, smoking from head to foot, and his clothes were all charred with ashes and soot. Yeah, that's pretty charred. A bundle of toys had caught fire in his sack, and he looked like a demon from hell who came back. His eyes, how they panicked. His dimples, how scary. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a flambéed cherry. I said, "Look here, St. Nick." He stared back with a smirk. "You started a fire, you red-hatted jerk." Twist of his head and a look through the barn soon gave him to know he had done some real harm, and laying his finger aside of his nose and giving a nod up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh and his reindeer did whine. and the way they all flew from the scene of this crime. But I heard him explain as he fled this satire. It was Pegleg who started the Great Chicago Fire. Then, of course, I was yelling and screaming and telling him to get back here and put out the fire because everybody just was going to blame me. I didn't do it, is what I'm saying. That's the moral of this story. It wasn't me.
Ladies and gentlemen, the poetic stylings of Pegleg Sullivan. Pegleg, I seriously think you want to get the gentleman whose condo that you haunt to team up with an illustrator and self-publish a children's book, because I think that there's gold in self-publishing, especially on Amazon, in a very, very untapped Great Chicago Fire.
It would be pretty good for self-promotion, Jerry. And speaking of self-promotion, this episode of Chicago Corners brought to you by Flavor Improving Mugs. The mugs that improve flavor. Jerry, do you have a mug that doesn't improve flavor?
No, I have my mugs that improve flavor. And being that this is the Bacardi anniversary, the Bacardi 151st anniversary of the Great Chicago Fire, despite the fact Bacardi's not sponsoring us. It's a Bacardi
not sponsored by Bacardi. It's just because it's 151, and boy, is that stuff flammable. If
you drink Bacardi and you get one of our flavor improving mugs, that Bacardi is going to taste even better.
Yeah, at least 25% better if I am up to date on the latest flavor improvement technology.
And there you have it.
So yeah, you could. I think there's a link in the show notes to tell you where the merch shop is over on Redbubble. So, it's not just mugs. We got T-shirts, but when you get a chance to get a flavor improving mug, how do you pass up on that chance, Jerry?
You don't. Pegleg, do you have some time to stick around and look back in the time machine to previous Great Chicago Fire anniversary celebrations?
Sure. Yeah. You know what? I could stick around and debunk all the fake stuff that are in some of those stories, because I'm sure that they're full of it.
All right.
Lots of fake news going around. I mean, even back in the 1800s. You know that for decades they were blaming Mrs. O'Leary. Can you believe that?
Actually, I feel
crazy.
I feel bad for Mrs. O'Leary, given your responsibility in the matter. Let me get something ready here. All right, so flashback to 2014. There is a company in Chicago. I think they actually went bankrupt, but they've returned because I've seen their new headquarters down near Chinatown, called Red Moon. And I remember this was during the Emanuel administration, and it was promoted like a 4th of July event. Red Moon was going to celebrate the anniversary of the Great Chicago Fire by launching boats in the Chicago River with building effigies of the buildings from the 1800s that they were going to set on fire to, I guess, present.
That sounds horrible.
It did sound horrible. And I was one of the few people, because I was very vocal on social media about how fucked up this was, because they were promoting it. I'm just like, why the fuck are you going to be setting building effigies on fire in the Great Chicago to commemorate the Great Chicago Fire? That's completely disrespectful to the loss of life. All the victims who lost their lives, everybody that was traumatized by this. You're going to decide to set buildings on fire so we can remember this. You know what? If you want to do something at the Riverwalk, I don't know, maybe have some kind of a display along the Riverwalk regarding all the victims, all the people who lost their lives, how the city rose up from the tragedy and became the great metropolis it is now. No. They were going for the spectacle of setting building effigies on fire in the Chicago River. Now, what was really funny about this was that it went complete bust. There had been rain the night before, and thousands of people were down there, Ed. I admit I was among them because I was basically waiting for something disastrous to happen, being the nihilist that I am. And thousands of people on the bridges along the riverfront waiting for these building effigies to like go up and smoke and present this great light show, and they couldn't get it up. They couldn't get the fires up. So I just remembered this particular moment in time as we were preparing for the anniversary of the Great Chicago Fire this evening. And I wanted to pull up this story because I just think it's so humorous and how absolutely just boneheaded and short-sighted it was for the city's involvement in that particular commemoration. Now, this comes from History at Work. Richard Anderson, How the Great Chicago Fire Festival Burned History. As a public historian in training and recovering theater nerd, I attended, now this was published in 2014, I attended last month's Great Chicago Fire Festival with high hopes. Red Moon Theater, one of the city's most innovative companies, staged an elaborate pageant on the Chicago River, commemorating the infamous 1871 fire that destroyed much of the city. Organizers promised the festival would unite Chicago's neighborhoods and celebrate Chicago's greatness and renewal following the fire of 1871. This would be like taking a ship out to the middle of Lake Michigan and sinking it to commemorate the anniversary of the Titanic. All the people, they're completely losing sight of the tragedy and the loss of lives. So, unity and celebration certainly seemed palpable among the estimated crowd of 30,000 packed 3 deep along the bridges and esplanade overlooking the river. I appreciate any effort to bring strangers together for a shared experience, especially one related to history. Yet the evening left me disappointed. The Great Chicago Fire Festival presented a version of history too sanitized and too simple. Red Moon lacked the courage to ask more discomforting questions about the presence of the past in Chicago today. The city's power brokers viewed the $2 million event as a wise investment. Okay, we know Rahm had those TIF funds, and we see where the city decided to direct $2 million. Red Moon received $350,000 from the Chicago's Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events, and a $1 million contract from Chicago Park District for community outreach. Programming sponsors like Boeing and the Pritzker Foundation of Commerce Secretary Penny Pritzker fame supplied the balance. And let me also mention, I remember at the time, do you see how much money was going to Red Moon and who was getting the money? Red Moon was looking for volunteers to help with this event, unpaid volunteers.
Unpaid
volunteers.
Okay.
The money, Red Moon.
Oh, because all the money was going up in flames, Jerry. So they didn't have any to pay the people helping out with the event.
I see what you did there. With the money, Red Moon held a series of summer events in 15 Chicago neighborhoods featuring cookouts and a traveling photo booth. Residents were encouraged to pose with a flame-shaped chalkboard upon which they had filled in one of 2 blanks. I overcome blank or I celebrate blank. Kids from neighborhood after-school programs helped construct props and sets for the final performance. On October 4th, the October 4th Grand Spectacle on the River began with an afternoon street bazaar, which festival organizers displayed residents' photos collected from over the summer. The bazaar boasted music, dance, poetry, and spoken word performances, in addition to food and crafts from each of the 15 neighborhoods. The evening's main attraction began with dignitaries, including Mayor Rahm Emanuel, Illinois Governor Pat Quinn. Actor Martin Sheen was there, and 2 stars of the television drama Chicago Fire. Lowering 15 flaming cauldrons representing the neighborhood partners. It was actually, I think they were lowering.
Let me tell you, Jerry. You're talking about people from the show Chicago Fire, and in the ethereal plane, we do actually still have cable TV, which is weird because ethereal and cable don't usually mix. But we had all of those television shows, and when I heard about Chicago Fire, I tuned in and I said, what's this about the fire department? That's not why I wanted to tune in.
Well, they lowered 15 flaming cauldrons that they say represented the neighborhood partners. I say it represented the $2 million that the city dumped into this event. From bridges onto boats below, a caravan of kayaks hauling flaming buoys passed, followed by the Chicago Children's Choir, who performed on a touring vessel. I mean, Peg Leg, the spectacle of this was just so
but
fucking
not too
absurd.
close to the things they're setting on fire, hopefully.
It was surreal. Were you there?
Usually when there's an event surrounding the Chicago fire, I'm usually floating around nearby, or Bessie will drag me to these things for some reason. But I don't really have a very long memory about those things. The thing right and foremost is typically about the original event. And because, so many people over the years, when they weren't blaming Mrs. O'Leary, they were looking at me or blaming Bessie. I'm like, we were fine, law-abiding citizens, taking care of ourselves, not wishing anybody any harm, and then here comes this nut in a sleigh.
A simple yes or no would have sufficed. Okay, I'm getting to the rest of the article, which was referencing what happened, which was utterly surreal with the children's choir, who performed in a touring vessel. Several homemade steamboats belched fires that were intended to ignite 3 floating Victorian houses.
What?
The festival's climax was intended to come when those skeletal structures burned away to reveal interior sculptures representing Chicago's symbolic rebirth. All in all, it was an ambitious, potentially entertaining show. Unfortunately, $2 million in, an inadequate PA system left the proceedings largely unintelligible, and rain-damaged ignition switches prevented the houses from burning completely. They didn't go up at all. As the temperature dropped and the delays mounted, many people like me skipped the closing fireworks and headed home. The festival's problems ran deeper than the electrical malfunctions that dominated news coverage, however. The entire event was misconceived. Luckily, this guy at this website gets it right. Red Moon framed the Great Chicago Fire Festival as a ritual communal cleansing for $2 million. Its programming linked to civic trauma from the past with contemporary challenges faced by city residents. To their credit, organizers chose some of Chicago's poorest and most racially segregated neighborhoods. However, the festival offered those communities New Age bromides about healing and rebirth. Furthermore, the choice of historical subject matter felt like a cop-out. The fire of 1871 is an easy target, not to deny agency to Mrs. O'Leary's cow, actually not to deny agency to Peg Leg Sullivan. I'm going to send an editorial correction to this author. But the fire functions in Chicago lore as an act of God, a freak accident that illustrated the need for smarter building practices. It also occurred 143 years ago. From such a safe historical distance and with no thorny issues of causation, the fire of 1871 becomes a harmless feel-good story, something our plucky ancestors survived, just like Chicagoans overcome obstacles today. If Red Moon wanted to examine the human capacity for weathering adversity and coming back for more, they could have staged Thornton Wilder's classic play, The Skin of Our Teeth. But if organizers wanted to pose searching questions about what has risen from the ashes of fire in Chicago, they could have delved into more recent history. Imagine if the festival had tackled the mid-century tenement fires that ravaged the city's Black Belt, or the flames that engulfed the West Side following Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination in April of 1968. The resulting conversations would have been messier and less comforting, but more productive. Rather than exorcising demons from Chicago's past, the event obfuscated more troubling and intractable historical legacies in the city's present-day landscape. I watched the festivities at the foot of the new Trump Tower, a symbol of the staggering inequality that divides a steadily gentrifying Chicago. Wealth pours endlessly into the skyline showcased by the festival, not so in the neighborhoods engaged by Red Moon. Every day, by the way, where they were looking to get their unpaid volunteers. Every day, people of color in places like Englewood and North Lawndale confront the consequences of decades of deliberate exclusion and isolation by the city's public and private sector elite. That same elite heralded the festival as confirming Chicago's status as a, quote, world-class city. To use Rahm Emanuel's oft-repeated slogan, since taking office, that mayor had prioritized raising the city's cultural and entertainment profile while cutting school budgets, attacking labor unions, and neglecting the same neighborhoods that played a role in Red Moon's pageant. Peg Leg, has anything changed?
No, not really.
The lessons of the past are haunting us today.
Yeah, we just it's just more people setting things on fire that aren't actual things on fire. It's more metaphorical these days.
For spectacle,
I think
bring
that's
people downtown is what it was. I think that I think it was exploiting a horrible tragedy is what it was. And I think that there are better ways if you want to frame the history of the Great Chicago Fire or any anniversary as some kind of a teaching moment. But it was all about drawing people downtown to watch buildings being set on fire in the middle of the river. The link
and of course, Jerry, it's a total distraction to keep people from understanding the truth about St. Nicholas.
The link between the festival and the tech hub is fitting. Where the arts and economic development meet in Chicago, history serves as a vehicle for post-industrial civic boosterism. Public historians have work to do amidst the ashes. That was written by Richard Anderson, a doctoral student in 20th century American history at Princeton University. He received an MA in public history from the University of Massachusetts in Amherst. Now, I sent a Pegleg a link in the live chat. Can you bring up for everybody who wasn't there in 2014 to see what happened? Can you share the video, Pegleg?
Yeah, sure.
This is what happened.
Of a first of its kind event tonight in Chicago. Hope for better weather than we've been having as showcase Chicago's fiery history. Here's Eyewitness News reporter John Garcia.
With a children's choir singing, an old-fashioned steamboat floats down the Chicago River past burning cauldrons. Kayaks pull burning fire pits past old-fashioned Victorian houses floating on the river. This was the inaugural Great Chicago Fire Festival.
There's a lot of strength.
The inaugural, and they never did one again.
That has to be.
Oh, did you see they had a gong, Jerry?
Yeah. Inaugural. Keep in mind, after this fiasco, no one ever talked about doing this again.
Yeah. Yeah, nobody at all.
Remembered as we have this great celebration, as we build our city for the future.
The event drew celebrities, including actor Martin Sheen and the stars of the TV series Chicago Fire, along with Governor Pat Quinn. And it drew a large crowd of onlookers, thousands. The city wanted to showcase the diverse neighborhoods as well, and earlier, merchants had a variety of goods for sale.
This is great exposure for us. I mean, we probably would never get this opportunity, to get exposed to so many different people, not only Chicagoans, but tourists also.
The crowd cheered as fiery cauldrons were lowered toward the river and boats shooting fire.
Stop it for a second.
But when it came time,
that was the $2 million that was fueling the fiery cauldrons. Go ahead.
Wow, $2 million. Yeah. I'm happy for the vendors who made some money there, support local businesses, but oh my goodness.
Time to burn down the houses. Well, there were a few technical problems. The houses started to burn, then fizzled out.
I thought it was a great event. It was going to be super, and there were some malfunctions.
Yeah, I only wish we had malfunctions like that back in the 1870s. It wouldn't have burned 1/3 of the city down.
That's true, Pegleg, but the best thing that came out of the Great Chicago Fire was the grid alley system that we have. Unlike New York, so we don't have to put all of our trash in front of our homes.
Yeah, Bessie says that's absolutely correct. The grids are awesome.
Major malfunctions.
After several failed attempts to burn the houses down and after a delay of more than 20 minutes, the huge crowd was starting to get restless, and they finally gave up and moved on to the fireworks portion of the show. That part went off without a hitch.
Chicago can't burn a building down, but at least they can do a good fireworks show.
City officials have said they'd like to make this an annual festival, but clearly they have some technical glitches to fix before trying it again next year. On the Chicago River, John Garcia, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
All right.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
So just a quick postscript. I love the Tribune's headline after the event. Some feel burned by the Great Chicago Fire Festival.
Burned. That's funny.
Yeah. They didn't get the spectacle that they expected. So I'm understanding why my video is going all crazy on this end. Anytime I open another window that's got a video ad, that's what's Interfering.
I thought it was the ethereal plane bleeding through the other side of the internet. I know that messes with some people's live streams sometime.
Yeah, no, that's not it. I don't know if I've caught up yet, but let me remove this screen. Am I still like talking out of sync?
Yes, but you are catching up quickly.
All right. Let's I would suggest that we wait a moment for
or wait for you to catch
my
up and
video
we
to catch
can
up. Yeah.
In the meantime,
All right, we're back. Am I caught up?
Hey, Jerry, where did I just go?
Oh my goodness, Ed came back.
We were talking about the cop stuff, and then
you disappeared.
I don't remember what happened, but then I looked up my clock and I'm like, it's 9:30. How did that happen?
I think, Ed, that you need an exorcist in your home, because I don't think you realized it, but you were once again possessed by the spirit of Peg Leg Sullivan, either an exorcist or Ghostbusters.
You hear that?
I think you need to call the Ghostbusters. They're ready to believe you.
Okay, I'll take your word for it, Jerry. I mean, there's some going on in this city.
Is that my gold?
What the hell are you?
Thank you, Kathy, for the super chat.
That was weird.
Let me pull that down.
Hey, Jerry, did you know it's the 151st anniversary of the Great Chicago Fire?
You're very late to the game, Ed.
Oh, did you talk about that already?
I didn't talk about it. You already talked about it. I'm sorry. Your possessed body talked about it.
Are you talking about Peg Leg? Did that jerk come back again?
He possessed your body again.
Oh, man. Okay. I don't know how to feel about this, but yeah, Ghostbuster. You got the number handy?
I will look it up and send it to you after the show. But
all I remember is we got to not cross the streams.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to transition into our final stories tonight. We did cover the fact that the Sun-Times has lowered their paywall, which is great for all of us that want to report on the news. Maybe if I close that window, my video will run better. Couple things that are coming up here in Chicago. I thought that this was great, and I know that I'm going to go check it out. There's a documentary called Punch 9 that covers the campaign and the legacy of Harold Washington. And this will be screened. Let's see here.
Yes, that's at AMC.
At AMC theaters. Yes. Chicago. These are the cities that it's going to be screened in. Oh my goodness, it's tonight.
Starting tonight.
Oh, but it's for a week. It's for a week, so we didn't miss it.
No, we didn't miss it. And I think they even have a trailer if we want to watch that. But
yes, we do. Actually, I have it queued up. There's the poster for the movie. I am very excited to see this film because I don't think we've seen a great leader like Washington since he passed, leading our city. So let's go to the trailer.
We're not anti-anything but hatred. We're not anti-anything but segregation, prejudice. That's what we're against. We're not against people. We are for people. And having said that, it's our turn. It's our turn. It's our turn. Punch 9 for Harold Washington.
Results of Chicago
Chicago's three-way race for the Democratic nomination for mayor today took many in that city and the nation by surprise.
I think a lot of people thought that City Hall was going to turn black overnight.
The vast majority of the Democratic machine became Republicans.
And I don't think that's changed very much.
Yeah, the only thing that's changed is that the vast majority of the Democratic machine is also Republicans.
We blocked.
In my opinion.
Can you repeat that, Ed?
I said that the only thing that's changed is that the vast majority of Democrats is also Republicans.
Oh, that's what I'm. Yeah, well, I think they said in the trade. Yeah,
that they not that they flipped parties, but basically they're all one party.
Yeah.
And at the present moment, Richard Mell, the vice mayor of Chicago, is the mayor.
This is going to be short. I am clear.
29 votes is more than 21 votes. And that's the truth.
Mr. Wodoriak, I've never run from anybody, including you, in my life. And I will be fair to everybody, but I'm going to insist that for the first time, the city is fair to you.
I thought he was going to be mayor for another 10, 15, 20 years.
But number one. That's the time when you said Chicago, and someone would respond like a Pavlovian dog, segregation. But now, anywhere in the world you go, when you say Chicago, you know what they'll say to you? How's Harold?
How's Harold? Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame that guy died so early.
Yeah, quite an inspirational trailer.
Yeah. And it's going to be nice for us to watch that, to see how see if anything in Chicago politics has really changed much since then, and then compare it to the current mayoral race. And look at the candidates. Is anybody like Harold Washington right now? Any of them standing out?
I would imagine Lori Lightfoot delusionally imagines herself to be a leader like Harold Washington. But
yeah.
So make sure to. The trailer gave me goosebumps. I'm very excited to see this film. It started tonight, 1 week only. Get to an AMC theater, Ed.
It's punch9movie.com.
Ed, are you watching me? Everybody, get out to an AMC theater. Support this film. Buy a ticket. Look, not just to help the AMC 8 movement, but I would be saying this if it was in any other theaters.
This is. Seriously, this is a movie you should get out.
It's an important movie to remind us of what our city should be, what our political leaders should be, what we should aspire to in seeking our representatives here in Chicago. 1 week only at AMC theaters in Chicago. So. Our last story of the evening is not really a story.
It's Jerry. It's not just Chicago, though. If you're watching
it's
in
all
other
over.
cities, seriously, check out the punch9movie.com website and see if it's in a city near you.
I don't know how many people are watching from outside the city. We only have 8 viewers right now, but anyway.
Well, some of them watch after the fact. It's like when other people are live. We're not always the first choice, but we thank you for choosing Air Chicago Corner.
That's true. All right. Last community update. As we mentioned earlier, and to commemorate the fact that we reported on both the Great Chicago Fire and that we're now reporting on the Chicago Karaoke competition, I think it demands one more airing of this.
Come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Come on, baby, don't you wanna go back to that same old place?
All right, everybody. Here's your chance to one-up Mayor Lightfoot at Chicago's first karaoke competition, Chicago Sings. You can compete.
Jerry, you cannot out-compete me in karaoke. I dare you to try.
You can compete in round 1, October 9th through the 11th and 16th through the 18th. 18 venues across Chicago, Chicagoans 21 years and up. The link is in our show notes below in the description. Let me read from the press release. Mayor Lori Lightfoot and the Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events have launched a new one-of-a-kind citywide competition to distract you called Chicago Sings Karaoke. Open to city residents ages 21 and older, the month-long contest kicks off October 9th and will be an opportunity for amateur singers to showcase their musical chops in 18 neighborhood venues. After 2 rounds of judged competition, the top performers will be crowned Chicago's karaoke champion and receive $5,000. The timeline is linked. Actually, I'm going to share the link in the live chat. Let's put this here. Oh, you already did that, Ed. Thank you.
Yeah, I got the long version. And there was the short. What was it called? Chicago something.org or something.
I didn't see a short link.
Well, it was in the video promo.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, which I don't have handy.
Well,
maybe we need to play it again, Jerry.
All right. I think you got an idea, and maybe that will also help to satisfy the insatiable desires of Kathy Powers to see another Lori Lightfoot video. We'll give you 2 for Kathy. We'll give you the Leprechaun, and then we'll give you the Great Chicago Fire karaoke video. Let me get them queued up. I got to jump around, and here you go, Kathy.
Is that me gold?
What the hell are you?
I'm a leprechaun, me dear.
Here, this is what you're looking for, right?
Oh, my eyes, startling, help! I'm the leprechaun. Garth, I'm the leprechaun.
Cool it, okay?
I'm the leprechaun.
Stop it, all right?
Don't try and steal me pot of gold.
Thanks again, Kathy, for the $2 super chat. Well, that's coming too, dear. If you just be patient. What am I responding to? She wants that. Okay, it's coming. Here you go. Wait, where is it? All right, to commemorate the Chicago Sings.
Come on, oh baby, don't you wanna go? Come on, oh baby, don't you wanna go back to that same old place?
Alrighty.
I don't think that video actually posted the short link, but I'll see if I can find it.
Okay. Well, again, people can find the link in the show notes that are in the description below in both our YouTube and our Rokfin channel.
I believe it's Chicago's mayor on Instagram is where she posted that.
Okay.
Let's see if I can find her. Oh, well, she's been busy on her Instagram.
Oh, I'm sure that she has.
She's all right. That girl's all right with me. Yeah.
This is the extended version.
Hey, yo. I can lick it, I can ride it while you slipping and sliding. I can do all them little tricks and keep the dick up inside it. You can smack it, you can grip it, you can go down and kiss it. And every time he leave me alone, he always tell me he miss it. He wanna
F-R-E-A-K-F-R-E. I send Cabello these videos in text messaging just because I know I laugh at them and I shake my head just in disbelief. And Kit's response is always, she's a clown. She's a clown. He sums it up very succinctly.
I can't find it, Jerry. There's too many terrible videos in here.
I know. Well, like I said, I think it's going to be pretty cool. This particular competition coming up, go on out. And if you are a singer, or even if you're not, it could be a lot of fun. I do think that the News Brothers from the Chicago Corner team have to make a showing. Let's talk about that off the air.
Okay, Jerry. But just briefly, I mean, if anybody has ideas on what song maybe we could do, that, I mean, I have a couple in mind, but if anyone has,
maybe we can put up a vote on our Twitter and our social media. So we can select a few songs between the group of us. Well, I guess maybe the group of us being you, me, and Kit. If I can, bring Kit into this also as the News Brothers. Although I would also invite Kira and Lainie and whoever else to participate. The News Brothers and Sisters, however we want to frame that, and we can put up a selection of songs that we all toss in there and have our viewers vote. But it's going to have to be really quick because I think, what did they say this goes till? Let's see here. Well, we got till the 18th to participate in one of these rounds.
Oh, I got it. It's ChicagoSingsKaraoke.org.
So the venues are up there too. On the 9th, which is this Sunday, Simone's, Louis Pub, and the Lincoln Lodge. Monday, Camino's, Cove Lounge, 5 Estrellas. Oh, so there are rounds. I guess we have to, we got to do this fast if we're going to be in on the first round, which goes through the 18th. That's round 1. Oh, we got a little bit of time. So we'll figure out how to put up a poll or a voting thing so that we can have our viewers help us choose what song we want to go out and represent. All right, everybody.
So there it is, ChicagoSingsKaraoke.org.
So remember, going back to our opening breaking news story, tomorrow morning, if you have thoughts on Mayor Lightfoot's leadership, her agenda, her platform, what you think she's done right, where you think she gets it wrong, please come out and join us tomorrow morning, 10:30 a.m. at 5200 West Jackson Boulevard. That's the Friendship Baptist Church. Team Lightfoot will be there for this day of action being circulating petitions to try to get Lightfoot on the next election's ballot. Kit and I will be out there with our cameras, getting your thoughts and opinions so that we can share them on a broadcast next week here at Chicago Corner. So I hope those of us viewing tonight and those of us who catch this after the broadcast, or anybody who's looking at this on our Twitter, will spread this around before tomorrow morning. Maybe we can get a crowd out there of Chicago Corner viewers to talk to and share in our broadcasts next week. What a full show, Ed.
Yeah, we did a whole lot in here. In fact, I don't remember part of it. I have a faint memory about some kind of failed event of Chicago fire happening, but nobody else was hearing that?
No, I heard it. I wasn't sure if it was over there or over here.
Okay. I'm gonna have to. I wonder if there's a ghost cow roaming around in here again. It's been a while since I had to call the ghost cow exterminator. How do you call them?
I think that you are calling some cheap knockoffs. I think you need to go to the best, go to the originals, Ghostbusters. They're ready to believe you.
Yeah, that's a clip we need. We're ready to believe you.
I beg your pardon. What did you say?
Anything else you want to
share? Different movie.
Anything else you want to share before I get some dinner and hit the sack so I can get up early for tomorrow morning?
Well, let's see. I did update the merch page for my own personal website. If you go to edheller.com, it's edheller.com/merch, you can see all the weird, crazy stuff that I have designed. I have things, especially if you're thinking about, well, I need a simple costume for Halloween. Now's the time to order.
Get your hand off my penis! No. What is the charge? Eating a meal?
I'm telling you, the Kit Cabello clone costume is going to be
yeah. Year. Oh, I mean, I don't have that in my merch stores yet, but we definitely need a Cabello clones T-shirt for the Chicago corner.
Absolutely.
Store. But I'm talking about I have this thing called the Spork Superheroes. You know what a spork is, right, Jerry?
I don't.
It's not quite a spoon. It's not quite a fork.
Oh, okay.
You know those plastic things? It's like a hybrid of different things.
Yeah.
So I have I have like a series of logos that are like on different color shirts, and you can be like the spork version of a superhero. It's pretty cool. You go to edheller.com and you click on the merch button tab thing, or edheller.com/merch, and there's the Spork superhero shop. There is my Redbubble shop has the pizza stuff and the volcano party stuff, and there's a bunch of other stores, like things like with bacon on them, cheeseburgers, weird stuff like that.
It's a cornucopia of Ed Heller designed merch.
Yep.
Check it out.
It's weird, but it's awesome to have T-shirts that have weird stuff on them.
Well, Ed, as always, I would like to thank you for joining us tonight for some really, really fun hijinks, news reporting, and other conversations. And I also want to thank Lainie, who has since departed the broadcast, for her reporting on how not to be taken hostage here in the city of Chicago. To everybody else out there, I hope that you please will make an effort, if you can, to come out tomorrow morning and join us at the day of action for Mayor Lightfoot, so we can get your comments regarding her leadership on the record for next week's broadcast. Please, as we go into the weekend, stay safe, watch out for each other, be vigilant, take care, and remember, if it's happening on the streets, you'll hear about it here on Chicago Corner. Stay safe, Chicago.
Get out. And don't come back until you've redeemed yourselves.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.